Every night when he went to bed, Yohei thought about what the neighbour had suggested to him. He couldn't sleep many nights because he kept thinking about the neighbour's plan and how wonderful if it worked out. But he also kept thinking of how he'd have to break his promise to his wife once again and ask her to weave another roll of cloth. One evening when he came home from work, he was sitting at the table after supper, opposite his wife, and she said to him, "Yohei, you look very worried, anxious. What's unsettling you?" He looked at her and said, "I know I've let you down. I know I've always been complaining and moaning and groaning about life in this village. But I'd love you to give me one more chance. I just want one more chance to redeem myself. I've wasted the money. I've listened to people who made promises to me without any intention of keeping them. I've let myself down. My dear, dear wife, could you please weave one more roll of cloth? I will never ever ask you to weave another roll again." Yohei, I was given a special gift, a gift which I was never supposed to use. I've already used it twice, and you're asking me to weave you another roll of cloth. Yohei, if I weave another roll of cloth, it will take me 5 days and 5 nights, nearly a week. I won't be able to sleep, eat, drink, see you. It's going to be a very, very demanding task. Do you really want me to go through with it? Yohei looked at her. He had listened to every word she'd said, and each one of those words had weighed heavily on his conscience. My darling wife, I know this is going to make a huge demand on you. I would like you to go through with it. I promise you, I have learned my lesson. I won't waste the opportunity this time. I won't waste the money. I won't give it away. I won't lend it stupidly. I'll make sure this time that we get that piece of land and those few animals that I asked for. Without further ado, his wife retired to the back room. Yohei slid the doors shut. And it never even crossed his mind that even though he had seemed so sincere, honest and direct to his wife, he had kept a secret from her. He intended to look into the room. He intended to find out her secret. He intended to share that secret with one of the neighbors. He sat down in front of the doors, cross-legged, and as soon as he sat there, he heard the tonkara, 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 tonkara. He couldn't believe it again. They had no loom, they had no cotton, they had no threads, and yet he heard the weaving pedal movement of a real loom. He heard the sound coming from the room, rhythmically, continuously, through the night. The next day, as usual, the neighbours came to the house to ask for milk, to ask for sugar, to ask for eggs, and he told them this time that his wife's mother had taken quite seriously ill, and this time she had to stay away for 5 days at least. The neighbours immediately thought to themselves, she must have left them. This time she has definitely come to her senses. She can't be as stupid as all that. She's a good woman, a generous woman, a big-hearted woman, but she hardly expected Yo-Hey to make a success of their life after what he did with a second roll of cloth. Rumours spread again. He went to the market to get some food. They pointed at him. They giggled. He knew what they were saying. He knew what they were thinking. But he was thinking to himself, they don't know that when my wife finishes this roll of cloth, our life is going to be turned upside down, and I'm not just going to buy a piece of land. I am going to run a business, the biggest cloth business that this village has ever seen. He went back home. He sat down in front of the doors. He had got so used to the noise of the loom, or the imaginary loom, coming from the room, that he didn't even notice it. Yet it was still there continuously. Tonkara, 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 tonkara. 2 days, 3 days, 3 nights, 4 days, 4 nights, 5 days. The 5th night, he sat there cross-legged, wide awake, thinking, when shall I look in? When would be the best time to look in? I can't wait till she's finished, because then I won't know the secret. When should I look inside the door? He got up at one stage, and he had his fingers ready to pull the 2 doors apart and look quickly and take it all in. But instead he held back. His conscience got the better of him. He sat down again cross-legged, and he thought to himself, I'll wait till it's nearly dawn. By then she will nearly have finished the cloth anyway, and she'll still be working away with whatever magic secret she's using to weave that cloth. And I'll be able to see in one instant how it's done. And then I'll be able to share the secret with the neighbour. At the same time as he thought these things to himself, he felt guilty. He didn't know how it was going to affect his wife. He was worried, he was anxious, he knew he was taking a risk. Just before dawn, he braced himself. He got up slowly, turned around to face the sliding doors, inserted his fingers gradually between the 2 doors without making a sound. And then he pulled the doors apart And as soon as he pulled the doors apart, he rushed into the room and looked around to take in exactly what was happening. There were feathers flying everywhere. It was as if there was a gust of wind in the room. The feathers were flying all around. They were in front of his face. They were making him sneeze. They were tickling him. He couldn't see anything. And then suddenly the windows were open and he rushed to the window, looked out. There was nothing. And then he turned around and the room was empty. There were no feathers. The room was bare, just like it had been before his wife went in. Where was his wife? Where was the roll of cloth?